Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. The language every time. Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. Again, the language of money. There are a lot of videos that you can watch here on YouTube University that will teach you the language of money. That's not what this video is about. This video, I want you to understand that money has a language and you need to learn it. If your goal, guessing since you're here, is financial freedom or at least a better financial future, learning the language of money is incredibly important. And I've learned a few languages, and I'm going to walk you through the steps of learning a language, and then I'll walk you through the steps of learning the language of money, which will, at some point, include those videos here on YouTube University on the language of money, because you wouldn't want to learn them all. If I want to learn a language, I'm not watching videos on learning a bunch of different languages. I want to learn the language I'm trying to learn. I was raised in Southern California. At the age of 8, my dad left, and I worked in the onion fields with my mom. So I was a little Caucasian boy working with all of the Latino kids in the onion fields. So I picked up a lot of Spanish. Things like, "You're a cool dude," "Chupa mi carne pistola," stuff like that. And I learned really quickly I need to actually learn some Spanish if I'm going to exist in that world. As an adult, or growing up, I learned sign language. I uh, was planning a trip to Russia, so learned a little Russian. Uh, that plan changed in 2022. I've been to Colombia, where I quickly learned that all of the time, energy, and effort I put into learning Spanish was worthless in Colombia because that's different Spanish. And then I went to Thailand and I spent 6 months plus learning Thai so that I can fit into the culture and get there and that everybody learn that everybody speaks English. But they do appreciate you putting in the effort. If you're trying to have a better financial future, learning the language of money will make it easier to work with, deal with, interact with, associate with people who are better off than you financially. Because if they see you're at least putting in the effort, they're going to want to help you. So when we learn language, a lot of people get excited about the vocabulary. Almost anyone who learns a language is going to fall into the trap of, "What's your name? ¿Cómo se llama?" Like, you learn the basic. Yo me llamo es. You learn my name is. You learn how to count uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, nueve, diez, like 1 through 10 in any language you're learning. You'll learn where's the bathroom, like the real basics. And that vocabulary is fairly easy in almost any language. I would say it probably takes less than 30 minutes to get that, to learn it. And then with some repetition, you can keep it for a while because it is a perishable skill. If you don't practice continuously, it will go away. So you learn the vocabulary, and that's where most people think language stops. And this is why so many people struggle to learn a language, because there's in the language of money, first you have to figure, what language do you want to learn? Right? The language of real estate has been fairly consistent for a few thousand years. New new terminology comes out like wholesaling, Burr, but those concepts have been around for a long time, right? Burr came from multifamily apartment complexes that you would buy with it having a low net operating income. You increase the rents, decrease the expenses, increase your net operating income, and refinance your money out of it. Rinse and repeat. Well, people started doing that with residential, 4 units or less, and it was called the Burr method. Well, it's fairly new, right? But not a lot of real estate terminology has changed in hundreds or more of years. The goal today, if you're here during the live, because this will be released as a standalone video, is I will be giving away the book that the person chooses towards the end of the video. If the goal is met, I would like it to be a finance related video. I would be super honored if it was one of the ones I narrated for Audible, like One Rental at a Time or 15 Conversations for Real Estate Millionaires, but you can choose any book you want that's on Audible. The person who wins the goal, if the goal is met. So people learn the vocabulary, but you have to pick the right language. The language of crypto has a completely new language about every 6 months, right? The things people learned with FTX quickly changed. If you're investing in stocks, there might be the language of the stocks that you invest in versus, knowing what margin is, knowing what a dividend is, knowing what all of those things are. So, what asset class are you trying to learn the language of money in? Because it's going to be depending on the region of investing and financial literacy that you're trying to attain. If I want to learn Spanish and I want to go to Mexico, I want to know things like stop sign is alto. If I want to go to Colombia, I want to know the stop sign is pare. Not even a closely associated word. Somehow Portuguese gets mixed in there. I don't get it. But that's how it is with stocks, real estate, crypto, being an entrepreneur, climbing the corporate ladder. There will be a language of money where you work. So now you got to go to the concepts, right? Uh, the concepts of language. I thought I was really smart when I figured out Spanish believes in two genders. There might even be a third one in there. Señor, señora, Mr., Mrs. Looked at Polish for like 2 nanoseconds before I realized there are 7 genders in their language, and there's no way I could understand that language, so I didn't even try. When you go past you learn the basics. What's your name? This is my name. Here's how to count to 10. Here where the bathroom's at. You need to go to what tools could you use to learn the language more? If you went and watched just nothing but Robert Kiyosaki videos, what era of his are you watching? Because he's gone off the deep end in the last 10 years with the world is always ending. Are you learning the language of money or are you learning the language of fear of money? So for me, the tools with a language is Audible, right? You can actually go and look up the pimsler version of whatever language you want to learn a language if you're going to be traveling or taking a trip or a vacation or moving to a place. But in Audible, there are books on the language of money, how to retire early, how to make work optional, the Fire Independence Retire Early community, uh, the Burr method, the book on how to manage a rental portfolio by Brandon Turner and his wife. Like there's like all of these books on Audible that you can use. Then there's YouTube University, places like this that you might find. I I hope that I haven't found it yet, but if there was a Pimsleur method of learning the language of money, I want you to understand the Pimsleur method of learning a language. This is a learning technique that I borrowed and used at the CDL school that I taught at for the last 10 years to make the curriculum better. The Pimsleur method of learning goes like this. Don't ask a student a question because if a student answers with an answer that they're not 100% certain on, their brain will not create a long-term memory. So I will go like this. I live in the Pacific Northwest. Where do I live? If somebody says Dion lives in the Pacific Northwest, I said it, you knew it, you answered the question, your brain will create a long-term memory. And 10 years from now, if somebody says, that guy Dion on YouTube, and I mean, he probably died 9.5 years ago, but where did he live? You will know it's the Pacific Northwest because I said it, asked it, you answered it. That's the Pimsleur method. So when it comes to the language of money, don't guess at concepts. Don't let the Dunning-Kruger effect kick in and make you think you know more than you should or more than you safely do. Study and only talk with confidence on those subjects that you have researched. If you come up to a subject that you haven't researched, be the question asker, not the person giving the advice. I learned that really quick in Facebook, social media. When I first started getting into investing, I have a long list of reasons why I want a conventional loan, not an FHA loan. That's a really bad loan product. It didn't meet my needs. PMI, mortgage insurance doesn't ever go away. You can only have one. It's a little harder to get the seller to accept it. And so I would go on social media and see somebody say, hey, I want to buy my first property. Does anybody know a good FHA lender? And I would say, hey, it's probably not a good product. And I would just get attacked with all kinds of things because I didn't know all those things I just rattled off. I just knew it didn't fit my investing strategy. So only speak on what you know. Find out what you don't know so that you can learn it. Then understand that when it comes to languages, there's emotions involved. And this is what makes the amount of time, energy, and effort that you're going to put in, because this is probably what people don't want to hear. To learn a language takes effort. For me, to be reasonably comfortable speaking any Thai was 6 months of learning off the Pimsler method, going through the lessons in the books that I purchased, practicing like on myself out loud, saying things out loud, then going to YouTube University and watching cartoons like Dora the Explorer in Thai or Dutch or Russian. And then for 6 months or so, watching those cartoons because it was concepts that were easily understood, getting the terminology. So, in learning the language of money, go to a subject that you kind of already understand and listen to how people talk because the language of money is very different. The emotions involved with the language of money are very different than the emotions involved when you're communicating in just another language. Here's why it matters. We want to study the language that we're getting into for a reason, right? I said it could be a trip, it could be for a vacation, right? If you're going to go hang out with friends who invest in stocks, but you don't, so you do a little bit of research so you can sound a little educated with them, you probably don't put a lot of effort into it. If you're going to move to a country, full immersion, you're going to live there for the next 2 decades, which is what financial freedom looks like, minimum of a couple decades, you're probably going to want to put a lot more effort into it. So understand the importance of how much time are you willing to put in to learning the language of money? Because on top of that, you have to actually be saving. You have to actually be investing. You have to actually be putting your money to work. In other words, reaching financial freedom is just theoretical. So we want to do a mix of both. I'm hoping that you can stay motivated because learning the fundamentals of the language of anything is not that difficult. Again, this is my name. What's your name? Here's how I count to 10. Where's the bathroom at? That's a half an hour to maybe 2 hours to get that down in almost any language. In the language of money, it can be understanding uh, asset versus liability, cash flow versus net worth, like simple terminology. You can get those simple things down. Some things are a little confusing and you might have to do a pretty good Google search to understand it. But it's after that, the application, the the uh, vernacular that you don't have yet, right? When somebody says, like I would never walk into a room and go, I speak Russian. Let's speak Russian. First thing I start with is I speak less Russian than a 3-year-old, but I'm going to try just to show I've put in effort so that they know that I'm interested in their language. But don't just start throwing out words that I don't understand, like I did at the beginning with Spanish. And about 3 people who speak Spanish said, Did you just really say that on YouTube? I can't believe you did that. But that's what I was told a lot as a kid. It took me a while to figure out what they were talking about. Kind of hurt the thing that I was 8 and didn't understand that stuff yet. So learn the vocabulary, learn how to expand your vocabulary. Then language has grammar. I talked about Spanish having male and female and Polish people having 7 genders in just their language. Uh, language has the language of money has grammar. If you talk cap rate to somebody who invests in 20 to 50 unit apartment complexes, your brains align on what you're talking about. If you're talking to somebody who invests in 4 units or less and you try to associate cap rate with the investing strategy, I instantly stop working because I know you don't understand the asset class. There is grammar, the correct use and sentence structure of the words you're using applied to the asset you're talking about. If I say, and I start talking about good debt, that is debt that makes more than it's worth, debt that someone else pays off, someone in stocks might think I'm saying that margin is good debt. Well, good debt also has a fixed rate, fixed percentage rate, can't be called. These are my definitions, right? So the asset class that you choose to invest in, what's the grammar of that asset class? Then, how do you ensure that you're using and learning the language that goes to the region that you want to learn? Like I said, if I learn Spanish and I want to go to Colombia, it's a very different language than Spanish, Southern California or Tex-Mex, right? What region are you going to? If you're investing in buy and hold real estate, 4 units or less, you will instantly learn, if you watch my content, that cap rate doesn't apply. If you're looking at deals of 5 units or more, that is based on net operating income, not the comparables around it, cap rate's very important. So if you're investing in stocks, is it dividend stocks? Is it single stocks? Are you a day trader? Or like all of these different ways of looking at it. How would you learn a language that to be the most accurate at your knowledge in that language? Full immersion. If I really wanted to speak the Spanish that is spoken in Colombia, I would move to Pereira, maybe Manizales. Um, Too many expats in Medellin, so I'd move to probably Pereira or Manizales, and I would live there for 10 years. I would try to not make too many friends with people who spoke English because it's too easy to fall back into your native tongue. I want that full immersion, full dedicated to learning it. So what do I do in the language of money? I'm interacting with people that interact here in the chat, like Michelle with the super chat. Thank you so much. Frank and Cynthia, Zuber, Lumberjack, Millennial Mike, Curtis, the people who will interact with me who are talking about a better financial future, using fixed rate debt, investing in the asset that I do, wanting to have a better financial. I still watch videos from Joe Kuhn because I wanted to learn about retirement. And so I associate myself with that. So, what social media are you taking in that you can use for immersion? What local meetups or Facebook groups or the school community with one rental at a time are you involved in where you have that immersion exposure to actually have to be involved in conversations where people are going to listen to what you say. And if they laugh at you, I should probably go look that up and see if I'm even saying the words that make sense. So find the native speakers of the language of money that you're trying to learn and immerse yourself with them. Then you need consistency. If I right now tried to speak Thai, I would fall flat on my face. I know that there are actually two Thai languages, one that men speak and one that women speak. And that if I walked into a store and I purchased something and on my way out I said Kap Kun Ka, they would go, "Oh, it's a cross dresser." I know about that much. I'm heading back to Thai, so yeah, I'm going to brush up on it. Consistency doesn't mean you pop onto a YouTube channel, you watch videos for like a week, you get all excited, and then you don't take any social media and you don't join any Facebook groups, you don't go to any meetups, and you think that 6 years, 6 months from now, you'll be able to make a purchase. It's the next 6 months is the meetups, talking to people, seeing what's going on in your local market with your asset class, looking at your personal situation and what your options are for the type of investing you want to do. That full, consistent, full immersion and effort. I am what's called an ambivert, right? You have introverts who seem to excel when they're by themselves, and extroverts who seem to excel when they're by groups of people. I excel when I'm around the right groups of people. If you go to a local meetup, research the uh, asset class that you're looking to invest in and have some pre-planned questions when you meet somebody. I generally start with something like, tell me about what you invest in. I don't say, what do you invest in? Because you can get a two-word answer. I'm a day trader. I'm a day trader. Redneck, 2 words. But if you say, tell me about what you invest in, you get a few minute answer, hopefully, because people have often prepared their 60-second commercial on themselves so that they can put out there what they're trying to do, just like you. The first one of the local meetups that Millennial Mike came to, he thought he was going to go and learn a ton because he's so new. He was, he's Millennial Mike. He's not there. He's not a boomer. He's not Gen X. Uh, I don't think he was 30 yet. And he comes to the meetup, and there were some people who invest in different asset classes, but I think he and I and maybe one other person were the only ones at that meetup who owned rentals. And he realized at the time, I think he had like seven. And so he thought, oh, I'm here. People are going to ask me questions. That was what Mike was thinking. He said it a few times since then. But the struggle with any language isn't learning the basics, and it isn't immersion. It's patience. Do you know how frustrating it is that I've been investing for 10 years? I reached financial freedom, made work completely optional, walked away from a job that I love for time freedom because that was more important. Now I come on a couple hours every week on Tuesday and I answer all the questions that are going to be in the chat. And I try to help other people reach financial freedom that every time I have a conversation with somebody like Cody, right, Cody Davis, I have kids older than him. I learn from almost every conversation. That patience, consistency, and immersion is still going for somebody who's already retired. It doesn't stop. At some point, if I stop going to meetups and I stop taking in content, I believe doing that like 100% of the way would put my portfolio at risk because I wouldn't be paying attention to what's changing in the market. A couple of examples here in Washington State recently. Legislature proposed rent control, which will make me richer and more tenants homeless. Washington State proposed tripling uh, property taxes. That can impact my portfolio. If I'm not around other investors and I'm not taking in content, as somebody who's financially free and retired and never has to work again, it would be at risk. Just like if you wanted to learn Dutch, and I'm going to tell you a story about how I got somebody punched because I learned Dutch, uh, and you don't speak it for years, and then you meet somebody who speaks it and you have the opportunity to use it, it isn't going to go well. So I worked at a CDL school and it was purchased, and the new owners came in, husband and wife team. He spent his formative years in England. He was born in the US. He's a Navy vet. She is from Holland. They met in Alaska. Great couple. I worked for them for the next decade. But when I meet them, did I work for them for a decade? Yeah, from when they bought it. Because I was only there about a year when they bought it. So they purchase it. She's from Holland. And I think I like languages, right? I've learned languages to travel. I've learned sign language because in high school, all of the hearing impaired people and hard of hearing people were super cute girls. So I'm shallow. But I wanted to think if I can learn some Dutch, I can help the lady feel more involved in the conversations. Because while she did a lot of the work for the business, she didn't speak a lot because I think she might have felt like her English wasn't good enough, and it's probably better than mine. So I learned some Dutch. I spent 6 months. I do the whole thing, full immersion, Audible, YouTube, uh, just trying all these things to learn basic Dutch. And I'm at their house for a like corporate meeting because I've been demoted down to the manager at the company, and her parents were there. And I asked some really basic questions. Just, I was trying to like, hoeveel personen zijn er in uw gezin? I was just like, what's the shape of your family? How many people are in it? Do you have brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles? Just basic stuff. And her mom reaches over to my boss and punches him in the arm, hard enough to where I could tell she nailed him. And she goes, "You've been married to her for like 15 years. He's worked for you for 6 months. Why does he speak Dutch already?" Know your audience, know the reason why you're learning it. Go through yes, there is vocabulary you got to learn. What is the grammar to the asset class you're trying to learn the language of money for? Because there are many different languages of money. What is the way you can immerse yourself in it? Is it YouTube University, Audible, local meetups? Find the native speakers. Be consistent and patient. And once you learn the language of money, continue to learn. It doesn't stop. That will be taken out as an intro and given out separately. Thank you for hanging out with me on a random Tuesday. The people who watch the shorter videos don't need to know I'm an alcoholic. So I waited to drink till I was done. So I do have a goal going. If we hit 10 super chats, let me read these really quick. David Cardone, thank you for the super chat, much appreciated. I talked about which book I'm giving away. Wealth Building Journey. Chester, thank you for the super chat. Again, much appreciated. Making sure I'm not missing any chats when they come out with this. Mind blown from Ninja Vanish. Number 3. There we go. And learning a new language gets me tongue tied. There you go. Good job. Is that Dividend Dave? It must be Dividend Dave. Awesome. Jason, thanks for always helping us. Thank you for always hanging out. This week, Jason, the people in the course, there's a course call with Millennial Mike joining us. I don't know the time yet because of his schedule, but it'll be later on in the week. Calhoun, Adam, howdy. Good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. Make sure I don't miss any questions that come with those. Michelle, speaking of Colombia, you've helped us so much. Ditto, you keep me motivated. Oh, there you go. Awesome, Brian. Thank you for that. Cool. We'll count those and towards the end. So if you have to leave, come back and watch the last like 5 minutes of the video, and I will do the giveaway for the Audible book. Rich, howdy. Old guy RAI, not yet. Ninja vanished. I can't afford people. There's been a question that went dipped out earlier than the video started. Jason, howdy. Andres, can you hear me now? Exactly. Uh, I don't have good thumbnail skills. My goal is, I mean, while I want to get the information to as many people as possible, my goal is not to grow a YouTube channel. If I showed you my email, if I shared it, there is 500 to maybe 600 emails a week from I can help you with your thumbnails. I can help you with your branding. I can help you with your YouTube channel. Bots that go out everywhere. It's very irritating. Wayne, howdy. Good to see you. Shrikankth Chowdhury, howdy. In some of the talks, I heard you say you have a $21,000 cash flow every month, but are you yet to pay tax? I am wondering how is it possible if you have 200,000 realized income every year, 200 more than that profit. So the cash flow is more than that. The income is more than that. The cash flow, that's after paying mortgages and after setting aside 15% for repairs, maintenance, and vacancy. So when it comes to paying taxes, here's the joke I always make. It's real, it comes out like a joke. It's almost like Congress is full of people who own properties, who keep making laws that benefit people who own properties. Why do you think so many Democrats want rent control? They know it makes the owners super wealthy. Triples my income if it goes through. Looks like it's gonna. So if you pay all cash for your properties, you're more than likely going to be paying taxes. So I'm not saying get a mortgage so you don't pay taxes. That's not how this works. The interest write-off isn't how you don't pay taxes. That would be stupid. $1,000 in interest so you can save $300 in taxes doesn't save you any money. But levered depreciation is how you go many years without having to pay taxes. The entire time I was working and had rentals, I paid a crap ton of taxes on my W-2 income. My tenants pay property tax. So if you're separating out the taxes here, it's rental income tax that I'm always referencing that until I think this year, I haven't had to pay. I'm thinking this might be my first year. Thought that last year too. Still carried forward a loss. So hire a CPA because there's multiple types of depreciation, right? Scheduled, amortized, bonus. I don't want to know what they mean. I don't know how they work. I give the information to the CPA and they put it in the right categories. I have a video on my channel with a whiteboard before my stupid phone decided to start flipping everything when I could still do whiteboard videos. I'll figure out a way to do that again in the future. How I pay no property tax. And I basically break down if I bought a property that was $100,000 for cash and I bought a property that was $100,000 down, here's the difference. $100,000 purchase, the buildings are probably worth $70,000, $80,000. You get to depreciate the buildings, right? The improvements to the land over 27 and a half years. Well, your income, buying it all cash, is going to be so high, and you're only depreciating 70 to 80,000. Versus I put $100,000 down. I'm going to get a $400,000 property. Now the buildings are probably worth $300,000 or $320,000. The upgrades to the property. I'm depreciating $320,000 over 27 and a half years against $100,000 down's worth of income. It's one of the reasons why buying the place that I'm in right now, all cash, was kind of stupid. Doing a cash out refinance and buying another one and starting a new depreciation schedule on a multiple of what I've put down that's why I'm probably paying taxes this year, as I own 2 paid off properties. I don't mind paying taxes. I'm absolutely okay with it. I actually have videos where I talked about it. I'm excited when I finally make so much money. I've got to give some to the government. Levered appreciation is what made me a millionaire and then multiple millionaire. And then levered depreciation is what let me go like 10 years of rental income without ever paying a penny in rental income tax. That's a great question. Thank you. Probably worth its own video sometime, but I think I did at the whiteboard video. I try not to make the same video because sometimes I want to make the same video. Like recently I did the math of time, why you should retire as soon as possible. There are some new people. I had a BiggerPockets episode come out. I was on Erica's channel. And so there's some people here that maybe have never heard me say that before. So I'll make that video again. The tax one, This is the right time of year to make a tax video. I will probably do that. Anna K, howdy. Anybody who is coming to the course call this week, first of all, the course videos with Matt the Lumberjack Landlord from last week is uploaded to the course. If you're in the Financial Freedom for the Lazy Person course, the one from Mike will be uploaded. So if there's anybody who's in witness protection and doesn't like their facing, those ones never go on YouTube. They only go in the course. Laura, howdy. Good to see you here. Laura, check your email. I think I sent you one. If I sent it to the right one. Chester, good to see you. Brian, howdy. Brian again. The schizophrenic spellings of the word Brian. Buzztune, Mikey, Joe, howdy. Good to see you guys. Dale, Chester, Ninja Vanish, Shrikant, Kami Pistola, Carne. Yep, Carne. There you go. See one person. I'm two, maybe, probably got that. Ninja Vanish, levered depreciation plus deals that cash flow. There you go. Chester, I'm not going to read. That's the thing. Learning a language, are you learning spoken language or written language? I could not read Thai or Russian or Dutch. I don't know. I probably could work out Spanish. Brazilian Portuguese. There you go. Linguism. Nope. Okay, I have no idea what my money is trying to tell me, but it ain't good. There you go. All night header. I thought curse words were always learned first. They are, generally. Sometimes. I think the younger we are, the more we focus on them. Nice. Ryan, no tire means no trash in Spanish. That's pretty funny on the side of the road. There we go, no tire. I'm getting down to questions. Pimsler is great. It helped me to learn Japanese. Yeah, I love Pimsler method. It's really good. I've used it in almost every form of teaching. Like in the course, we go over neuro-linguistic programming, mirroring, some other things. I will talk about the Pimsler method, and then I will use it in the course. And I haven't had very many times where people go, we're using the Pimsler method to learn what we're talking about right now. All right, Jared, is that who invented that? I remember who invented the toilet, Thomas Crapper. Nice. Mnemonics are very important for learning languages too, especially with the money of language. The mnemonic that I like to do when I'm working with somebody who's fairly new is net worth has no worth. Cash flow is what we need to know. Just that simple mnemonic tells people you're going to hear people talking about net worth, and it's a meaningless, made up thing that absolutely means nothing in real estate. If you invest in stocks and you're trying to work towards a 4% rule, you probably need to know your net worth. But in real estate, cash flow is what you need to know. There's your Dionism for the day. And then to be more accurate, no TA means no littering. Basura is the word for trash. There you go. Nice. Are you guys serious? Thomas Crapper invented the toilet. You probably had to go Google it, and that probably actually is true. The jokes write themselves. There you go. Howdy, Robert. And it's good to see you guys here. Bob Hyder, I left a post on the Amigos Facebook page for you. Nice. I'll have to go check that out. The Three Amigos of FFI, or it's the Three Amigos of FI Facebook page. The US has 7 genders too. You've heard my sentence that pisses off both the left and the right about genders. I'll have to find that, Rob. By the way, no one wanted to stop and look at RE with me. Oh, that's no good. We're having a members only call, I believe, this Saturday. So if anybody's available, I see all the members that are in the chat. The members only will be Saturday. We will look at deals and practice that skill, that language of money, of looking at deals. Rob, friend of mine, used to go drinking in Mexico to practice his Spanish. He got pretty good. Probably got, anybody seen my wallet? They are really good in Tijuana. I mean, front pocket good in Tijuana. Fat Sal, howdy. Ask me how I know. Where and how do I keep your tenant security deposit? Is it all in one savings account? What do you think with the interest? So a lot of states require a separate account from your personal finances that is interest bearing. It doesn't say it has to be a high yield savings account. So Bank of America 0.02% interest is an interest bearing account, but it has to be an interest bearing account. I'd probably go for one of the better ones. And technically, the interest is the tenant's, not yours. All-nighter hider. I'm learning cap rates now. It hasn't quite clicked yet. If you can get a call with Cody or Christian and just, have them explain to you, try 3 or 4 different analogies to make it click. It doesn't apply to 4 units or less. It's just if you're looking at multifamily where it's based on net operating income. The wealth building journey. Check with your local jurisdiction. Different places have different requirements for handling security deposits. That is true. Cap rate. If you were to get a certain cash on cash return on investment and you purchase the property with all cash, that's basically my understanding. And here's why it doesn't apply to residential real estate. Do you have $1,000 a month HOA fee or no HOA fee? Are your property taxes $1,500 a month in Gary, Indiana, or a year in Gary, Indiana, or $16,000 a year in New Jersey? It doesn't apply to residential. It applies to properties based on net operating income. And it's like when we look at the deals. We take 45 minutes to break down the couple of minutes you're going to look at a deal. It takes literally 45 minutes to understand everything that you do in the 1 to 2 minutes that you look at a deal. And so many people focus on math. Yeah, math can say this is a bad deal or this is a deal we should take a look at, but it doesn't tell us if it's a good deal. That's where the other 35, 40 minutes come from in that practicing that skill. Right. And I did exactly what Dion is describing when learning about Bitcoin. There you go. Valentino, shout out. Howdy. I'm enjoying knowing myself. I'm going to have to run the math with someone firsthand as exercise drives my memory. So one of the things that I talk about when you're learning how to run the numbers on a rental, right? It's cash on cash return is annual profit divided by cost to acquire. Pretty simple equation. I said that at 37 minutes into the video if you want to look it up again later. But annual profit divided by cost to acquire. We learn that, but then you have to practice the skill. I don't recommend going to Redfin, Zillow, or the MLS and just practicing the skill and thinking, okay, this is what I think I would get. This is what I think I would get. Find an investor in your area that invests in the asset class that you're trying to. Ask them if you can run the numbers on 1 or 2 of their rentals a couple of times and see how close you come. They might not share their exact numbers with you, but they can tell you, oh no, I make way more money than that, or no, you forgot something. So practice it on a known, use the pimsler method. Your brain will make long-term memories if you are learning something that you know is correct. I saw that there was a super chat from old guy REI. Would you buy a property if helped offset paying taxes? That is a good question. I'm going to buy more properties when the two things happen. I'm ready and I found a great deal. Those are the two things that tell me when to buy, not rates, prices, rents, predictions, recession, bull, bear. None of that matters to me. Am I ready? Did I find a great deal? I'm going to buy it. I will consider, I don't want to buy all cash because I want levered appreciation and levered depreciation. That will help me pay less taxes, but that's a side benefit of the levered appreciation and the asset protection that comes from having a mortgage. So would I buy one to pay less taxes? No. Don't let the tax tail wag the dog. That's what everybody says. But definitely take advantage and consider it as in a small amount of the equation to buying a property. Buying it all cash, not the best plan. Kind of like I bought this place cash, 400,000, then I put a little over 60,000 into the rehab, which I'm never doing again. And so I basically have $462,000 into the property. It's worth 750 or 800,000 now. So if I took out a mortgage of $400,000 or $500,000, it would reduce my cash flow to where I wouldn't be paying taxes, but it would give me about $500,000 to invest in something else that will cash flow. Life is harder when you have choices because, as my daughter told me when she was a teenager, learn from them before they forget everything. Get them when they know everything. She said it's really hard to make a decision when both outcomes are positive. Uh, I lost my place in the chat. All night had knowing the difference between money and currency credit is pretty important when learning the language of finance. That is probably how I should have started my video. Where were you? Why didn't you text that to me earlier? Nice. There we go. All night hider. Cody has wisdom beyond his years, I think, because his action and mentors, but that's just a guess. Surrounding yourself with the right people, absolutely. Misa autocorrect strikes again. Oh, now you're Jar Jar Binks. Tells you something about my text algo. Nice. Thank you, Chester. R. Freeman. Howdy. Howdy, David and Dave. Knowing the different. Okay, there was All Nighter Hiders. Brian with an I. Can you do a video about your extended trips living abroad? That is a lifestyle that I'm interested in. Would be curious to hear your experience and recommendations. I will be. I'm definitely going to be doing. So I'm going to Thailand for a couple of months. And while I'm there, I'm going to be doing videos like, here are the faux pas that I see people making. I did some research before going the first time. Things like never show somebody your bottom of your foot. Don't touch kids on the head. Uh, like some really simple cultural differences that are very easy to find. But I want to go with the subtle stuff of here's the scam they pull it. So if you're in Colombia and you go to Cartagena, so Cartagena has a blocked in old city, which is where I stayed. I don't know about the safety outside of there. I know that the old city was fairly safe. It's tourist heavy. They try to keep you safe there. I stayed on Isla de Piratas. It was pretty good. But in Cartagena and around the wall, there are a ton of people who want to sell you things. So not like walking through a bazaar or a swap meet looking thing, or what do they call it? Flea market in some areas. Uh, People just walk up to you and hold out, you should buy these things. And they're pretty aggressive. If you say no thanks or no gracias, they know you're brand new and they keep pushing you. They ask you if you need directions. Now they've helped you. You got to buy this thing. Whatever it is, they're very pushy. The code word that once you learn this, you can say one word and they go and walk away. So that's what you need to know when you get into a place is what do the locals do to identify the locals? In Cartagena, Colombia, if somebody walks up to you and they want to sell you something and you just say, gracias, just the single thank you, done, not no gracias, just gracias, they know you've been approached so many times that you've heard the people that live here say that to each other and they walk away. There are things like that in Thailand. Not as aggressive with the sales stuff, but how the tuk-tuk driver can tuk-tuk all your cash away. I will absolutely be doing those. I look forward to those. I don't want to do too many because the fear when you make videos is that you have something go super viral, and then you kind of have to make those videos or your channel can die. Because the last thing you want is people to click on a video and leave. So if you really want to punish me, you want to hurt my channel, click on a video and leave. That tells the algorithm that somebody doesn't like you. Have you been to Costa Rica? Very safe. I have not, Angel R. I'm trying to think, why haven't I been to Costa Rica? I no, I don't know. Not yet. Bandabots, exactly Bandabots. Angel R, I will have to put Costa Rica on the list. I will probably reach out with some questions and go like, where should I go? Where should I not? Same thing in Thailand. There's places to avoid. Philippines, places to avoid. Colombia, I didn't hear any like, don't go there. But yeah, went to some pretty rural places too, like 6 hours on a dirt road to get to the warm water springs. BuzzTune, thank you. I'm also okay, Larry. I'm also an ambivert. Most people don't realize they are. True. First I've heard of it, Larry, but I can see how I might find that. There you go. Bill, howdy. All right, Jared. I love that my wife is a real estate professional and I get to nuke a good percentage of my W-2 income tax. That's awesome. David, thank you. Free book. Looks like I'm going to have to learn how to read. They're audiobooks. Audible is an Audible account. I suppose I could do Kindle. No, I'm doing Audible. I'm trying to promote that. So uh, I don't have an affiliate. I don't have go to Audible and sign up and you get a free book because that's everybody, I believe, can go to Audible and sign up and you get one free book. You don't need to be told by somebody to go do that. So I don't have an account with that. I literally buy a credit. I buy the book, it shows up in your account. You have to just have an Audible account with an email attached to it, and it'll just show up for you. Josh, howdy. I agree with your LLC stance. Can you think of a reason why an LLC would be needed for short-term rentals, no partners? I would think it would be the same. What type of lending are you using? The two main reasons that I come up with when an LLC makes sense is do you have partners? Because it protects you from someone else's mistakes, not your own. It doesn't separate your assets. And if your lender requires it. So if you have a short-term rental, if you use any type of hard money or maybe a DSCR loan or something where the lender that you're working with said, we require an LLC, then I would have one. Remember, the problem isn't people having an LLC. I don't care if you do. Have as many as you want. My problem is the person who could buy rentals and doesn't because they think they need an LLC. And that complicates the matter more than it needs to be. Local municipalities might have different requirements on short-term rentals. I'd have to do some research to figure out if it would be in an LLC or not. I know it makes some lending really hard. So, good question. Josh, first foreign language I learned was Canadian. You know the secret password, eh? Oh yeah, Jared throwing out some dividend Dave level jokes here. Started investing in stocks, beef, chicken, and vegetable. One day I hope to be a billionaire. Nice, good, next level. I have beef bouillon all the time. I call it beef tea, just like hot chocolate. Laura, howdy again. Thanks so much. I thought it was fake news. It is so much appreciated. Oh, thank you. Thank you that you saw it in the chat. Because that was, I guess I should have sent it another way too. Uh, yes, it's a real email. It was from me. Thank you. Please follow up on it. Cool. Thank you for the old guy RAI super chat. Yeah, if you ever get an email, I haven't. So the spammers have come into the comments sometimes and said, connect me on WhatsApp. I'm not on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a cheating app. I'm not on there. The benefits being in an open relationship. You don't have to hide stuff. The overshare of the day. Squirrel ran off with the groove again. What are they doing? Oh, the scammers. They'll come in here for WhatsApp. They go on Facebook and they make an account that looks something like mine, a lot of the same content. They block me so that I can't see it, but I see people send me screenshots of, is this you? Are you trying to do this on Facebook? No, it's not me. Uh, I do not invest in crypto. I don't want to invest with you in crypto. I don't take partners in real estate. But if you see an email that comes and it talks about like, here's the next guest for the course, here's when the next members only live is, here's something coming up on the channel. I'm actually the one sending those. I don't have an assistant or anything. And the email that went to you, Laura, was me, Frank. Howdy. Peralta. Just got a call from a tenant. 10-foot wide wooden fence and gate blew down. New chain link fence and gate. Do they need the privacy of a wood fence? Where do you live? What's normal for the area? I have put chain link up with slats sometimes if it wants privacy. I prefer chain link. Uh, yeah, I'd go to Thumbtack. I'd get at least 3 different quotes on having fence done. Fencing to me, especially if it's just a 10-foot one, I don't know that I'd hire a fencing company. I would hire a handyman that I've worked with or found on Thumbtack that also does fencing, just like painting. This irritates people. If you're a fencer or if you're a painter, this is my problem. This is how I'd run my business. Painters make a lot of money. Fence makers, fence installers, fencers without a foil make good money. Actually, I had friends that did fencing work at Magic Mountain and Disneyland when I lived in Southern California. So the family's employees would get to go a lot. And as a really super poor person, I got to go to the theme parks because I knew people who worked there. So when I have a place painted, and I will never hire a painter. I'm get a quote on a couple of rooms, it's like 3 grand or 5 grand or something. Hire a handyman. Show them the things you like about painting. I teach them things like, well, I want to use a 3/4 inch nap or bigger because I'm not trying to save paint. I want one coat, not saving paint. Smaller nap can do that. I mean, I don't want fine finish because I have textured walls. And if you paint a door, yeah, it's different. But if you're painting walls, I want a thick nap. And we are not putting color on the walls. We're sealing the walls with paint. And that's where the pressure comes in, the multiple rolls to make sure all the dots are filled in. And so once I've had a couple of quick conversations with the handyman, if they're open to the conversation, they probably already know these. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Then you hire a handyman, and mine tend to make somewhere between $400 and $600 a day. 2 days to paint a place, $1,000 or less, instead of $3,000 to $5,000. Same quality of work. And the painters will go, oh, no, 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 that's stupid. You're going to go through 5 gallons of paint and I'll do it in 4. You want to save me $60 so I can pay you $2,000 more? The math ain't mathin'. Same thing with a fence. If you want a full fenced everything, right? Where it really matters, tension and corners and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, maybe hire a fence company. If you're going to have painting done, second, third floor type buildings, exterior, hire a painting company that's insured for it. But simple painting a couple of rooms or fixing a 10-foot fence, I'd have a handyman do it all day long. You're just going to pay a fraction of what you would if you hired a company that's what they do. Because it takes the same amount of time to come to your property and fix a 10-foot section of fence as it does for that fencer to go and put in 70 yards around a duplex. They're not going to give you a break on the cost because it's a smaller deal. Doesn't hurt to get some estimates. You might find that contractor that's hungry. Chris Webb, howdy. Frank, sorry to read that. Was more cost effective and fits the neighborhood best. What did I miss from Frank? Just got a call. Yeah, there you go. All night hydrobrating a handyman. So I'd call. Did you request access to the Three Amigos of Five recently? I got a notice that says you're trying to request access. Yep, I did. I saw, Ryan, I saw you on Facebook recently, like a new account or something. Nice. Or in Florida, my preferred fence is chain link. They are resistant to hurricane. It's my personal preference. It's smart. In Washington, it's resistant to turning into a moldy, mushy slosh of wood. So yes, know what's in your area. That's why chain link is what I prefer too. I'll do a privacy fence, at least 8 to 10 feet privacy fence between a duplex if the back doors have a need. I've done it twice. The rest of the times they were already there. Bruno, howdy. Bradley, howdy. I'm about to buy your $750 course. Do you update it regularly? So first of all, you must be looking at it on the phone because I am not a tech guy. The course is $447. There's some version when you open it up on a phone, the first screen still says $750, and I can't figure out how to change it. When you click through to pay, it'll be $447. And it's not so much that the course is updated regularly. What happens with the course? Somebody just joined today, we had a conversation. And normally you don't say this. People joining right now, because of the freedom I have with my schedule, are also getting a free Zoom call. So if you join, you get a free Zoom call. So if somebody's looking at booking a Zoom call, don't do it. Of course, it's about the same price. You get the Zoom call too for free. It'll be $447. Here's the update that happens regularly. Yeah, every now and then I'll go change a video when something changes, right? But every other month, so this is the month of March, every week we have a Zoom call for the course where everybody gets on. Sometimes it's me. We go over how to run it like a business, communication styles, techniques for better negotiation, that kind of stuff, and portfolio deep dives as a group. But then, like last week, we had the lumberjack landlord. Last month time frame, we had Cody. We've had Zuber. Sometimes they're recorded, sometimes they're not, because the recorded ones get uploaded to the course. In the not recorded ones, I want some people to feel free to ask the gray area questions, like the ones you don't want to talk about on YouTube because some keyboard coward is going to jump on you and just pounce on you and say, that's unethical. Well, sure. That's why they're asking. Where do the ethics lie on this? So we have some that aren't recorded. So this month, March, it's every week we're having this call. The one this week is Millennial Mike. I have to work out with his schedule when it's going to be. This one will be recorded and uploaded, probably because it's going to be at an odd time. I don't know if everybody can make it. Then April, there will be no calls. We get a month for people's, Frank pointed this out earlier to me. Portfolios can advance, tenants can turn over, things can change. And then May, we will do course calls. Then June, not. Then July. So every other month, we do a course call once a week. My intent currently is Unless I'm like literally on a plane, going from one country to another, every week we're going to do course calls like that. So that's the update. What's going on in your current portfolio right now? What are your plans? We share it as a collective. Then 10 months from now, we kind of revisit. This is what you said in June. How's that going? Not so much to hold you to it or pick on you, but because we want the same peer pressure. I, in my videos, say things like, I want a fourplex. I wanted one for like 4 years. I bought two duplexes in that time because those were the deals that popped up. I'm still saying I want a fourplex, but I'm going to buy the best deal that pops up. When I say stuff like that, I'm more likely to continue to buy, to continue to invest, to continue to stay immersed in the language of money. And so that's the point of the course stuff. And to be fair, with the course, if you're thinking of buying it, everything that's in the course, I believe, anybody that's in the course, let me know. Did you find anything that wasn't on YouTube? Everything that's in the course is on YouTube. It's in thousands of videos, and some of those videos are 4 hours long. If you take the course, it's consolidated down to chronologically, this is exactly how I did it, what I did. Here's each section. So you can go, okay, when I'm screening a tenant, I'm going to go do this. When I'm running the numbers on a property, I'm going to go do this. When I closed on the property, what's the timeline of that? Right, you can go through the specifics, but it's all on YouTube. So if you just need the information and you listen to 3 or 4 hours of content every day, just be on YouTube. If you want that exposure to once a week, a Zoom call every other month, and access to the course, that's what that's for. And I'm sorry, it's 750. Uh, that's a missed type print. That's supposed to be 447. Bruno. And then my chat moved, which I appreciate because that means that people are talking. Have you explored? I think I was before something like that. I bought Zuber's course and did use it to its potential. I think that it's a me problem. Didn't use it. So that's why, to me, the content of the course is important. Everything that I wanted in there is in there. Like when I write a book, I'm going to make sure, I'm supposed to be writing a book with Zuber right now. If I told you I'm lazy, I want everything in there that's in there. For me, the course is the communication ongoing. That's why I chose every other month. I'm not doing the boot camp style where you sign up 2 or 3 times a month or 2 or 3 times a year and new people come in. I want sometimes it's the same people and some people cycle in and out. Like when Michelle goes to Columbia, she didn't seem to be around a lot for that, which I totally get. Um, but then be fully immersed when something's happening where you need, hey, I'm going through a 1031. Let me talk with everybody every week and go through what's happening here. So Zuber's course has a ton of information. It's it's so much content from like if you're into stocks, if you're into crypto, if you're into apartments, if you're into real estate. So all of that's in there. Mine is I don't want a huge portfolio. So I'm not going to teach you how to buy a 50-unit apartment complex or a mobile home park or storage. I want the right amount of cash flow from the least amount of units. And here's how I did it. Here's how I diversified. Here's how I protected myself. Here's how I scaled. Here's the timeline it took. Um, like I wish I had the knowledge to help with more subjects, but that's the subject I went on. If you like courses, the binder course is free. How to get your tenants to ask you for a rent increase. Go to diontalk.com. That course is free. It includes the spreadsheet on how I track my income and expenses that was made by my CPA and me, and my seller financing letter. That is all free. Bruno, have you explored the idea of buying land, rural building on it, and parceling it out? I have not explored it. I wish I had somebody to send you to for that specific thing. I personally, being the lazy, and for me, lazy meant working full time, 50 to 60 hours a week, raising 3 kids, not having a lot of time to invest, manage projects, do rehabs, do builds, or go to the city and do that thing that makes me want to gouge my eyes out and enucleate myself, beg my city for permission to upgrade my property by getting a permit. I have a problem with that. I like to buy rent ready or already occupied properties, do minimal work, maintain them, optimize when possible, do upgrades when there's a tenant turnover, that kind of stuff, but not a lot focused on buying that on purpose. When there's a turnover, I'll take advantage of it. So the building thing I haven't wanted to do, even the idea of, so for that, you'd probably go septic system, not tie into city. You'd still need power. You need water. You have to do your septic system. Like there's so much more to it than call a contractor and say, build a house. Like I suppose that's possible, but the GC is going to make 25% of the deal. It's going to be way more profit than you make. The timeline is years before it cash flows. Uh, It's probably a really good strategy. I'm more of the W-2 worker that has limited time and limited resources and has to save up a down payment than the person who's going to get a loan that has a timeline where the lenders don't care if the contractor dipped out on you, took your money. You have a loan. You're now filing bankruptcy on that. Uh, if somebody like the lumberjack landlord has 140 plus units, hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash flow, and goes, yeah, I'm going to build this place. And if it completely blows up in my face, it's a couple percent of the net worth and not a recognizable percentage of the cash flow. So who cares? Sure, build something. That's not where I'm at. Even with financial freedom, I only have 18 rental units with 8 properties. I'm house hacking one of the units, so I only have 17 rented out. Um, I don't have hundreds of thousands in cash flow to support a thing blowing up in my face, or a contractor issue, or hard money being called because my timeline went too long, or interest rates tripling in the next 3 months, like they did with Millennial Mike when he started two Burrs. Rates went from 2 to 3 to 7 plus. He still was able to handle it, but it was because he wasn't starting, didn't have a really small portfolio. He had the cash flow to handle it. Do you have the cash flow to handle a couple $100,000 mistake that takes 2 years of your life? Then go for it. Rob, did Cody explain loan factor rate versus cap rate? Have Cody explain. There you go. Yeah. Maybe Cody can come on here and do that. Chris Webb, Lynchburg on your list. To Ryan Hyder. There you go. Laura, Dion, I'm still waiting for your trip to Panama. What considered it this year? I'm trying to think of what changed. A couple of friends meeting me in Thailand, same time frame. I think that's what made Thailand win this time, I think. Bill, what do you think about half duplex? Got the cash for the half, but still saving for the whole. I would say 10 months to a year for the whole duplex. Uh, Millennial Mike owns a place where there's a duplex where he only owns half. In Washington, it doesn't seem to be too common. I was driving through Las Vegas for the one rental at a time event in February, and the neighborhood that we were in seemed like a lot of the duplexes were subdivided. And you could tell because only half of the roof had been updated, and the other half was falling apart. Just to let you know, when a roof leaks, water doesn't come through and come down. There is a permeation in the seal to the roofing material. The water comes in and then it runs anywhere that it wants to inside the building and then comes down. Often you have to figure out where it's coming from. I don't think it's a bad strategy. The thing is, if you bought a half a duplex, I don't know that in 10 months, you saving the amount of money to buy the other half means the other half's going to be for sale. Maybe they sell it to somebody who puts a tenant in it or moves in, and then you don't have that option. I like owning small multifamily where I own the whole building because I get to screen the tenants that my tenants have to live next to. I'm not saying it's a bad strategy. I think that's the two things, right? That's the determining factor. I get to screen the tenants my tenants have to live next to. And it's not really common where I'm at to see them split. If it was, I might consider subdividing mine and then selling them all if I ever sell. Rob, in Brazil, go to Buzios. I have not heard great things about Brazil. Mostly it was from in Portugal. The Uber drivers were from Brazil, and they talked about literally made it sound like a war-torn country where there was stuff going on today that I just don't hear about in the news. Michelle, in Colombia, they're also not used to locals doing gratuity. So it gives us up quick, especially when we do 20%. It does, it gets you invited back, but it also makes you a target. In Thailand, here's how you become a target. They're not in here. So a lot of people wear sandals in Thailand. And a lot of times you go into a store or to a temple, you leave your sandals at the door. My brother and I are, we like to hike. Right? Not in the best shape. I'm not summiting Mount Rainier anymore, but I'll do 5 to 10 mile, right? Anytime. My daughter takes me out, tries to kill me by doing elevated 5 to 10 mile. Um, yeah, I shouldn't have told her she was in the will. But so we have Keens. Keens are basically sandals that cost somewhere between $40 and $100. So you'd go to any establishment where the people leave the footwear at the door, and you would see like looked like dollar store sandals, flip-flops, and then Keens. They were never stolen, never had a problem with theft. But as soon as we came out of any establishment and put our shoes on, that's when the I want to sell you something people would target us. Buy sunglasses. Those aren't what would they say? There's a term that they etch into them. Polarized. Oh, yours aren't polarized, but I know mine aren't. They just don't etch it into it on the ones I bought here. I don't know the magic word in Thai that made the I want to sell you stuff people go away, like in Colombia. All right, thank you. Ryan, I didn't see any bots and have all messages turned up, not to top message. No, it was we were talking about bots in the comments usually because they don't come to the lives because I made it to where you have to be a subscriber for 5 minutes. So I know that there's somebody watching right now because I used to hate this. I used to go watch Meet Kevin videos and he would make it where only subscribers could um, comment. And I was always watching on some device where I wasn't logged into my YouTube account. And since you're not logged in, even if you were subscribed, you still couldn't comment. Very frustrating. But it's the only way to get rid of the bots. And there are a ton of bots. You guys remember, I've done lives. Maybe I should do one just to remind everybody. Here's what happens if I don't set this to subscribers. ADL, howdy. What do you think of the Burr method? If you have ever implemented it, why not? So great question. Hopefully you're still there. Because I'm sorry, I'm going to go through this not quick, but I'm going to try to go through more quick to get the question so we're not so lagged behind the question and the answer. I have used the Burr method, and from 2010, maybe 11, to 2020, the Burr method was a great method because two things were happening. Prices were trending up and interest rates were trending down. So if you start a Burr method and you make a mistake, your after repair value was too low. Well, in 2 or 3 months, the price trending up and the rates trending down, that was fixed by the market. If your after repair value timeline was messed up and it took you longer to do it, yeah, you might hit your hard money timeline and you might actually go to 12% interest instead of 6 or whatever your deal was. Prices went up, rates went down, fixed your problem. So YouTube University was taking off, BiggerPockets was becoming really popular. They were going from B blogs to vlogs in 2014-15. So more awareness was happening of the Burr method. So you got more and more competition. The people who've been doing Burr since 2013, 16, 18 can do it now. I think they're going to be just fine. I think they have the systems in place, the contractors, the handymen, the city officials that they get permits from, they have a relationship with. They have the skill set to know what an after repair value is, to know what the timeline's probably going to be like, to know how much reserves to keep, to anticipate rates going up. They're going to be fine. Burr method, still fine. The person who's starting out, who goes, okay, I want to get into real estate. I heard I can recycle my capital. I can have no money in the deal and I can make $100 a month. So if I did that 50 times, I don't have to work. They're not going to know how to get an after repair value. They're not going to know the repair timeline. They're not going to know how to find contractors. They're going to fight the permit system. They're not going to understand how long it's going to take. They're not going to anticipate are prices trending up and interest rates trending down currently as much as they were those times when it got all the way down to 3%? No. They might be flatlined right now, so that the market's not going to fix your problems. So it's very risky now. There's a lot of slips twixt a cup and a lip when you go, I don't know what my ARV really is. I don't know how long it's going to actually take. I don't know how much it's actually going to cost to fix. I don't know what and problems to anticipate. What the permit process. You have all these things to learn while you're learning. How do I get a lease? How do I screen tenants? How do I maintain my property? How do I find contractors? Like all the basics you need to learn. So starting out with the Burr method, terrible idea in my opinion. I reached financial freedom, started investing, started saving 2010, 11. First duplex 2013, then 2015, then 2016, then at the end of 16. And then I think there was a 2020 fourplex, then a triplex, and a duplex and a duplex. 10 years of investing. The last duplex that I purchased in 2023 was my first Burr. Contractor gave me a quote of $30,000. I estimated $50,000 and I set aside $80,000. Took 62,000. So the contractor's estimate doubled. 10%? No, 5% above my estimate. 10% above my estimate. Contractor said 3 months. I figured six, took 10, right? So if I needed the cash flow, if I needed interest rates to do something, I self-funded the repairs. So I didn't have a timeline. It could blow up in my face and I didn't care. Bought the place all cash. Paid this. At the end of this, the the visceral reaction I get to begging my municipality for the ability to upgrade my own property is so freaking irritating that I don't even want to live in this city anymore. And I moved here because this is where I wanted to live. So no, I'm not doing another Burr method. I hate the whole process. We did the math, me, Michael Zuber, and the lumberjack landlord one time. I made $3,750 an hour doing this Burr. Absolutely not worth it. I was retired and had the time freedom to do it. Okay, I survived. If I was working full time and raising three kids and tried to run this, I would have to have paid a GC. So add 25% minimum to the cost of it. Add time because I was managing the projects and doing some of the things myself. Frank, old guy Ray, flew up to Washington, first time on a plane. Don't tell his sister because he won't fly to see her. I think that's the story I got, or aunt or somebody. But flew up here, helped me tile a bathroom. One, I wanted to learn how to tile a bathroom. Two, I got to hang out with Frank. That was really cool. But doing some of those projects myself with a GC would have taken way longer. Would have been subs and timing and permits and cost way more. So the Burr method is a good method if you have a history and you've been doing it and you are aware of prices not trending up and interest rates not trending down. Starting with it, I don't think that even 2015 people should have started with the method without a really good mentor. So that's my opinion of the Burr method. It's been great. It's great for people who have the experience. It's terrible right now to start. I think if you started in 2013, 15, or 18, you had a pretty decent chance of doing okay. If you start today, you have a timeline on your hard money. You have so many things to learn. I don't think it's the best strategy to start with. So I'm a fan of the strategy, not a fan of it being a starting strategy. In a few minutes, stand by to 80%. Sorry, I'm going to try to get through these quicker. Wealth Building Journey gifted a financial membership to Frank Peralta. Is that who it went to? No, it went to Soto Mahoney. Soto, howdy. It's weird when you gift a membership, it randomly chooses somebody in the chat and gives it to them. Membership meetings are twice a month. We learn the skill of looking at deals. Wealth Building Journey. Here we go. I asked the bartender if they had anything stronger than whiskey. So he hands me a mirror and says, your life choices. Anything harder than whiskey, maybe? Nice. Michelle Meyer, love the course. It is a gift that keeps on giving. Awesome. Look forward to seeing you there. Keyboard warriors are fast now. Do you remember how slow fax machines warriors were? Nice. Especially if you sat on the copy machine before the fax. You should be good to go in the Three Amigos of FI group. There you go. Anybody on Facebook that wants to be in the Tacoma FI group, that's local to the Northwest. The Three Amigos of FI, it's the one rental at a time community. People who aren't in Zuber's course but want to be in the Facebook group. Michelle, yes, the public videos have it all, but the course is very specific to each subject and saves time. But the best is the calls. Wasn't expecting when I joined, and I found out the course was very valuable. Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't actually planning on the calls when I made the course until I made the course. And it was about a month later, I was thinking, the information is good, it's all there. But someone's going to take my course and then not take action. That's going to bother me a lot. But if we're in calls together, and we can help people make adjustments. Keyboard Karen, not coward. Karen hurts more. Oh, nice. Keyboard Kevin. Oh, Karen to the guy too. That hurts more too. Does Hyder check his buy box today? Nope. My priorities are still redirected to my investment foundation. There you go. Should Hyder be IE instead? I before E except after C kind of thing? Einstein got it wrong in his name twice, so I don't know if there's a real reason for that. Nice. You go to a few bachelor parties. Andres, I want to manage my rentals myself. What software do you use to manage your properties and how much do you like it? Thank you. So for several years, I managed with basically no software. I would list on It was cozy.co that was purchased by apartments, and then it went to Zillow. All of that is free for us to list. Zillow, a couple of times, has tried to charge the landlords, and that blew up in their face. So they've stopped. They make their money, doesn't come to us, goes to Zillow on the applicants filling out their stuff for credit report and background check. Uh, Years, most of my portfolio is still handled just on Zillow or apartments.com. About 2 or 3 years ago, I started using Hemlane. And Dana, the CEO, actually comes on my channel so people can ask her questions. We do it live, right? She's not a YouTuber, so it's kind of challenging for her to answer things on the fly, which is why I have her here, so people can actually ask questions and just get top of mind awareness answers. Hemlane has different tiers. You can list your properties. Now, when I used to list a rental, so this is when I go on Hemlane. If I buy a property and I'm putting a tenant in it, it's going to be on Hemlane. If I have a tenant leave and I put a new tenant in, I'm going to go through Hemlane. What I don't do is go to my 70-something-year-old tenant who has a flip phone and no interwebs at her house and say, you have to get the internet, you have to be on this platform, you have to use this portal, I have to use all these words she doesn't understand. No, I just leave her alone. Leave most of my tenants alone. When I have a tenant turnover or buy a property, they go on Hemlane. It's just Hemlane, HEMLANE.com. You pay, I forget what it is. You pay an amount to be in the platform, and then you pay like $2 more per unit that you put on. Prices change a bit. I don't know what they are currently, but all the pricing structures on there. The reason I use it is I self-manage locally. All my rentals are in Washington State. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Well, it could take me up to an hour to drive to the farthest one if there's traffic going on, but they're all within 30, 40 miles of each other. I want to travel a lot, and I've spent a couple of months in Portugal, a couple of months in Florida, Colombia, Thailand, going back to Thailand. I'm probably going to do Scotland this summer. So I'll be managing from a distance. If I have a tenant turnover, when you put the information on Hemlane, instead of putting it on Zillow or apartments, it puts it on 15 platforms. I don't have to go in and do it 15 times. It puts it out there. So I don't know which one's being used the most. It just puts it on all the ones that are being used. Then you can dispatch handyman from it, or you can use their handyman. So a couple of my handymen have access to the portal for the rentals that are on there for me to be dispatched from. I haven't used their version of it yet. I've used mine. If I'm in Thailand and I have a tenant turnover, I can, for the month that I have a tenant turnover, I can step up. I can have my handyman go clean the place out, fix the place up, send me pictures, do a video walkthrough. All that stuff can be handled because I have those systems in place. But then I could step up to tier 3 of Hemlane and have a leasing agent show the property, sign the lease if I have a tenant turnover while I'm traveling. So it's not that I want that to happen or I look forward to that happening, but it's having an option so that I can travel and be less stressed about traveling. That's why I use Hemlane. I have a spreadsheet that I use that me and my CPA made. I don't use Hemlane for their back end that people use Stessa, Rent Ready, or one of these other ones because they're, oh, I need to pull a report. No, I have a spreadsheet with all the information I need and all the information my CPA needs. And you can get this spreadsheet for free by going to diontalk.com. There's a course on the binder, right? How to get your tenants to ask you to raise the rent. The course is free. Sign up for the course. In the course, you can download my spreadsheet. My entire portfolio is hiding from me. Where is it? That's really weird. Somebody stole my portfolio. I have a leather book with my entire portfolio in it. That is going, oh, there it is. That's too far to reach. So in the leather binder, every page, every property gets 10 pages. I'll put in there the information I want, mortgage, insurance, current tenants, leases, amounts, renewals, when repairs were done. So it's a physical copy, but this can be as simple or as complex as you want it. I know that there are people like the Wealth Building Journey that probably has a 50 tab spreadsheet on his rental and it works for him. That's how his mind is set up. So the spectrum goes both ways. I have kindergarten simple, and then Chester has it super organized. What's going to work for you? Ryan to Rob, that gets a lot of people. George Gammon called heater for months before I asked Mark Moss to correct his nice all-nighter heater. Oh, that's got a couple levels to it, like an onion. Deconstructing Dreams, a financial journey. Howdy. From Reno, catching up on chipmunk speed. Perfect. To bind her course. Shame. Shame. Onilla? What was the person's name that got put in with the mountain at the end? Two Game of Thrones fans just said, "Oh, I got that." ADL still here. Thanks. Cool. Chris Webb. Ciao. Of course, you are ADL. This channel and those like it, as unique as Dion, is only attract patient people. Thank you. I'm trying to get there. David McNeeley. My brother said something. I read things without looking at them. Here we go. Watch my eyes. I'm going to read it. This could be bad. Do you think that the money that the military soldiers get for housing will change with Elon Musk snooping around? Ooh, you didn't say something smart. Asked, not smart. You say smart things all the time. But you also say smart ass things all the time. I'm shocked. The BAH for the military, with him snooping around, I would hope. So here's my opinion. When everybody goes FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, people try to spread fear. So in the Section 8 social media groups, they're saying, "Oh, the housing is going to go away." If we remove the fraud and abuse, imagine all of the billions we have to actually do what the programs are designed for. If Medicaid stops getting defrauded by somebody who goes in for a sprained ankle and gets treated for a liver transplant that never happened, and the hospital gets $300,000, this fraud that stops happening. If military fraud stops happening, we actually have money to buy new equipment, to train troops, to pay basic allowance for housing, to pay Section 8. Don't give in to the FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I think Elon should be doing more of that. This is what I voted for, and it's better than I hoped for. And 3 liberals just left the channel. Sorry. Both sides are wrong. I don't like both sides. I'll attack the other side soon. Don't worry. Rankin Projects. Thank you, David, for the question. That was great. Rankin. Howdy. I've done a few burrs in the last 4 years. Still doable. Do the due diligence. You're right. So if you've done some and then you've continued to do it, you have the systems in place. You have the patience. You have the skill set, the contractors. You know how your cities work. Absolutely. I agree. It's a good method. It is not my method. Angel R. David, my brother, did a version of the Burr. He would use a home equity line of credit, so he didn't use hard money, buy a property that needed a lot of work, fix it up, use the HELOC again, pay it off, use it again. So he wasn't refi. He doesn't have mortgages on his properties. He called me a moron, familial term of love for us, every time I put a mortgage on, until he saw the cash flow and the tax benefits. Angel R. Sorry, I never win against my brothers. Smarter than me. My chat moved. Anytime I come back from vacation, I feel like I'm downgrading my lifestyle. Life is so much better abroad when you've got dollars. It is. This is what blows me away, and I'm expecting Michael Zuber from One Rental at a Time to talk about this in one of his daily updates. He just did an Asian cruise, Southeast Asian cruise, I think is. I'm not sure the region he went to. 6-star. Most of the people in the U.S. are miserable. Just they hate life. Then you go to somewhere like Colombia or Thailand, and David's been to both of those with me and Portugal with me. And everywhere but Portugal that we've been to outside of the US, the people are super happy. The reason we didn't like, or that I didn't like Portugal, is they saudade. Celebrate sadness. It's like there's plenty of that in the US. But in the other places I've been to, I really notice it when I come back from a trip and then I see it. Everybody that I interact with in the United States is just so unhappy. And I'm like, you have power, right? We drove through Colombia out through past towns on roads where there's no power to them, no sewer system. Everybody was happy. Do people realize how good their life is and how much better it can be with financial freedom? Andres, have you heard that Thatch Newen is in Seattle? Yes. Is he a legit guy or just an influencer? He's got a strategy that is very successful and works for him, where buys properties, then pays off the debt, then buys properties and pays off the debt. He said some really super smart things that I like. One of the things I quote from him often is, the bigger the name attached to a syndication deal, the more likely it is to fail. I say that a lot in different videos anytime syndications come up. So I don't know if he is a real guy or an influencer. I like to watch his content, and everything I've heard him say sounded smart, sounded accurate. I haven't heard you're going to be a billionaire in 2 years if you take his course or anything like the and I think if he didn't make any money from social media, didn't have YouTube, didn't have if he has a course, if he didn't have any of that, the rentals that he's talked about are shown in his videos. That's the litmus test of guru. If the Crash Bros lost their channel, they don't have any rentals. They'd just go have a job. If YouTube went away and I lost the massive amount of money, somewhere around $700 to $900 a month that I make from YouTube, I can actually share that and I'll just show you. So let me see if I can find a screen. I'll just show you. This is what YouTube pays. Here we go. So I'm sharing a screen. I'll go to YouTube. Hopefully it doesn't start making sound. And I'll go to analytics. Is that down here? Or is that on my videos? No. My videos, analytics. It's got to be here somewhere. You figure out know how to use YouTube. Maybe it's because I don't see the whole screen. There it is. Subtitles, community, analytics. Audience, friends, trends, content. Yep, this is what I made, $748. If I lost that, do I have to go back to work? To me, that's the litmus test. If Thatch is making all of his money, and I don't think he is, from course or YouTube or social media, then yeah, that's guru. But from what I've seen with the rentals he's got and then the way of getting rid of the debt, which does increase cash flow, it just increases your likelihood to pay taxes and decreases your levered appreciation, takes away some of your asset protection. Not my strategy. Doesn't mean it's bad. Uh, there you go. So behind the scenes stuff. That's how rich I am from YouTube. I could totally retire on that. There's probably some countries where I could, but I like Thatch. I watch him sometimes. I don't say I binge him consistently like I would somebody like Jason Hartman or Zuber or somebody or the Lumberjack Landlord, but I do watch Thatch when I see it. Kris, actually, this topic made me think. I thought he left. Are we doing an AI workshop for the local Lynchburg RE meetup on how to assist with pricing, some legal, some not all, and math? I have been using AI a lot. Nice. I have not gone into AI usage yet. Um, Although the evil AI overlord of the future is always listening, and I'm very appreciative of everything AI has done for us. Kris, thanks. Out of here. Bye. Angel R took back a message to make me lose sleep and wonder forever and ever what was said. Done very sad. Ryan says Thatch is good in his book. Yep. Somebody hit the like button. Every time you hit the like button, an angel gets its wings. Chester, I wore green so I wouldn't get pinched, but the IRS still found me. It turns out they don't care about holidays except receipts. Nice. Yellowtail coming to the islands, Rob. Is that an invite? Nice. ADL, how often is this live chat on and when? Every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, goes on for hours. I have a really close friend, Matt, the Lumberjack Landlord, that goes live every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific. Honestly, he doesn't watch this far in my videos. He's smarter than me. His portfolio is bigger than me. He's better at rehabs than I am. He's better at most real estate than I am. Uh, I don't want to be that good. I don't want to be good at tenant turnover. I don't want to be good at Burrs. I don't want to be good at all those things. I want to be able to buy the right amount of cash flow from the least amount of units. So we have different goals, but if you're looking for like more knowledge, Lumberjack Landlord, Thursdays, 6 o'clock. But I'm here every Tuesday, 4 o'clock. And I usually go minimum I think I've ever done on a Tuesday is an hour, I think, unless I was really sick or something. This is the 160th live. I've missed 1 week for being sick, and I might have missed one while I was traveling. Nice. Oh, Thursdays. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for answering that, Chester. It's appreciated. Thanks. Every week, please sub and hit the bell and possibly get notified depending on YouTube's. Here's the other thing. I'm going to put my email in the chat, ADL. You can send me questions if you don't want to ask it in a public format like this. And you can actually say, hey, look, I want to ask this question, but keep it private. Then I won't reference the question to anybody because somebody might know enough of the details. But if you ask me a question and it's a really good question, I might make a video on it. I'll answer the email, but I might make a video on it. I'll leave your name out unless you say, feel free to use my name. I've done that recently. If you go 2 weeks ago, I think I did a live stream. Maybe it was last week, where I literally took an email and I answered all the questions from somebody who was fairly new to the channel. Um, so public is the best way because somebody else is probably wondering the same thing you are, but I'll answer private ones too. My goal is to help people make work optional, and it's really weird. The Marine in me says this is weak and I shouldn't say this, so courage. I think the world would be a better place if people had jobs they wanted instead of jobs they had to do for the money. So while I'm trying to help everybody as much as I can reach financial freedom, it's not so everybody can retire and be lazy like me and just travel and scuba dive. It's a wasted life. You wouldn't like it. Probably take up drinking. Uh, but there are people out there who want to do good things, but they need the money. So they do the job they find. So the more people I can help, this is the other thing I learned. The more people you help, the better your life will be. Um, there you go. Nice. Howdy, David. You guys snuck it on me. Nice. Chester, the crazy part is that both sides have been wanting this for decades now. Two non-politicians are granting their wish. This started with Obama, right? He was the one who made it, and I think he put Biden in charge of it, didn't he? The cutting government waste, fraud, and abuse. It's, it's nonpartisan. It's a slush fund, and some people don't like getting their hands caught in a cookie jar. The portfolio gnomes stole Dion's book. They did. They put it way down there. Here's what's funny. It's under like 10 of the weirdest knives. I call this my size 10 people opener to even get to the book, but I can reach it. This is what the book looks like. I just know I don't like to leave the camera because people don't like dead space. So this is the book on how I run my entire portfolio. Each idea is some people have a vision board. And I'm going to do this quick because I want to get to the questions. I have a vision book. Every property gets 10 pages, and that's a lot of 10 pages to fill. And I think I have one marked off to use. So it'll have a picture of the property, the loans, the insurance, what the mortgage is, I think what the current rents are, whenever repairs were done. So if I'm in another country, even though apparently I didn't know where it was today, so it has a place to be, my kids, my handyman, who have access to my house, have the codes, can come here and get any information that I don't happen to have virtually. Uh-oh. It's still going. Where is Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. The language, it says, oh snap. We seem to still be live. So my connection messed up, but we're still here. I'm watching it on another screen. All right. That was the squirrel running off with the entire Emperor's Groove there. Dion, who do I call to verify employment for military personnel? That is a good question. Because it's pretty easy to fake a phone number that you call. Because I wouldn't call like the duty desk for somebody's unit to verify that. But you want to call, because in the Marines, it's admin, right? And they probably have an S1 term or something stupid like military's got to be secret with what they do. Personally, if I want to find out anything about the military installation that I'm closest to, anytime I've needed to find something like where is the who handles housing on this base or anything like that, I call MWR, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation, because every installation has that. They all have something else. Ask them on your installation who would verify employment. There's probably, you can Google the military and get a hold of admin and just go, I'm doing an employment verification on this person. You might need their social to do that. and their signed consent to do that. You might have to email it. It could be different on each base. I'm trying to think. I don't know that I have verified I've not called to verify employment from military personnel. I have said, show me your ID. Like, give me a picture of your ID. So I have pictures of most of the driver's licenses of my tenants. I have pictures of at least screenshots of military ID. I've never called to verify it, but that's what I would do. Call MWR and say, hey, on this base, who would I verify employment with? There's probably a federal one to go with, but I would always start there. Now I can see where my chat moved. There we go. Science. Okay, perfect. Portfolio Gnome stole the book. There it is. Vivek, howdy. Go Swami. Goswami? Goswami? Go Swami? Want the phonetic on that now. Hi, Dion. You said all your properties were 30 to 40 miles from each other. How do you approach geographical diversification? Risks like earthquakes, fires, etc. Great. That's a great question. I was actually looking at diversification as the benefit. If all of your properties are in one location, a fire can take them all out. An earthquake generally hits a region. I don't know that I'm spread out enough for that. If it was big enough to cause damage to not be impacted. Windstorms, they don't tend to hit the whole area. They hit specific areas. My biggest concern with diversification with the spread out properties 30 to 40 miles from each other, they're probably 45 is probably the farthest two apart. So they're in between there somewhere. Is if Boeing shuts down, if Amazon closes a terminal, if there's a BRAC meeting and the base closes, if a port goes on strike, like my entire portfolio is not hurt. They're all by several different economic drivers spread out. That's my first version of diversification. My second one is I try to maintain a balance. It is not perfect. I try to keep this as close as I can to a 1/3 ratio. I want 1/3 military, 1/3 Section 8, and 1/3 working or retired. So that if there's a stock market crash, the military pay is not going to change. Section 8, if there's a prolonged government shutdown long enough, that doesn't always shut down paychecks for working or retired people, right? It's diversified two ways. Location, I don't want to own a 10-unit complex. I prefer 5 duplexes spread out, same number of units, less likely to be impacted by anything like a bed bug infestation, a strike in an area, or a company moving away, or Mount Rainier. Lava flows aren't going to hit all of them. Thanks. That was a good question, Vivek. Jason, howdy. What do you think about taking out a HELOC on a paid-off house to acquire a short-term rental apartment in the Caribbean? Price is about 1/3 of the home's value at most. Thank you. All right. So, Jason, I'm going to be as succinct as possible, but still give you as much information as I think is important to this. If you're brand new to investing and you don't own rental properties, I do not ever recommend taking a loan against your retirement account, emptying your retirement account, taking out a home equity line of credit, selling a rental in 1031 if it's in your first or second ones, or selling your property and taking the equity and buying a rental. Your first 1, 2, maybe 3 deals, you're going to make your biggest mistakes. You're going to have negative cash flow. You're going to mess up on appraised value. You're going to not screen your tenants right. You're going to have all of these issues, sometimes while you don't have big enough reserves. Sometimes where you got to carry the mortgage. Like these things happen in the beginning more than they happen later. And when they happen later, you have the cash flow from other rentals to handle it. So if you're brand new, I use the Emperor's New Groove for a few different references, but don't. So when it comes to equity, your home equity line of credit, no touchy. Everybody over 50 just laughed. Maybe 45. The home equity line of credit is not equity. It is not your money locked up in an asset. What you have is the ability to add debt to an existing asset. So how do you add the debt is the second question. Right? The first question is, what's the purpose of the debt? Can you buy a rental? Will it cash flow? And a friend of mine was just buying a property with three units on it. I think there were houses. One might have been a mobile home, but it's 3 units. And he was using a home equity line of credit for the down payment. He ran the numbers by me and I said, hey, it all cash flows great until you factor in the debt on your HELOC. Then you're losing money. Went back, he renegotiated. He's using the HELOC for the down payment on a better price. It's actually going to cash flow now. So are you buying it considering the added debt to your existing asset? So what's the purpose? That's what your first question is. Second question is, how do you access the debt? My brother used the home equity line of credit because he had spiky income. He ran a tree service. Every now and then there'd be a big windstorm. Insurance makes a bunch of money, so he could pay the HELOC off quick. Can you pay the HELOC, the home equity line of credit, off before the rate adjusts? It'll have a 5, 10, 15 year, whatever, but eventually the rate's going to adjust. Can you pay it off before then? Maybe a HELOC is a good option. The problem with a HELOC is, let's say you borrow $100,000 and you don't use it. Well, 1% of that home equity line of credit hits your debt to income ratio as an expense. So they now look at your debt to income ratio, whether you've borrowed the money or not. You have the HELOC for 100,000, but you haven't taken any money out. You have $1,000 a month payment in their mind. That goes into your debt to income ratio. Those are round numbers, but that's how that works. So can your debt to income ratio handle the impact of having the HELOC, even if you don't take the money out? Then, if you have equity in your house, you said it's paid off. So if you got a mortgage right now, because you wanted fixed rate debt, it's 7 or 8% interest. Will you be able to cash flow on the rental enough to cover the debt? So it's first, what would you do with the debt? Then it's how do you access the debt? Sometimes it's HELOC, sometimes it's cash out, sometimes it's a second mortgage, sometimes it's sell to use the equity. For me, consistently, a decade of investing to reach financial freedom. I've never done a HELOC, a cash out, never sold for 1031. I might do my first cash out this year on a Burr, maybe. I might sell it, use the IRS 121 rule and not pay any capital gains tax. I don't know. But those aren't first through 5 year problems. That's way later in life problems. And you're gonna buy it in the Caribbean. Do you have all of the knowledge of citizenship, ownership, how the taxes work like that, how they treat people that don't live there? Do you live there? Like, investing at a distance is a whole different ballpark. The worst advice I've ever heard from anybody is, I'm gonna buy a houseboat and Airbnb it so I can use a houseboat when I want it. Or even me, I'm gonna go buy a place in Portugal so I can Airbnb it or Verbo it when I'm not there. That's the dumbest advice. Because then, let's say you want to buy the place in Caribbean so you can short-term rental it and you have a place to go. How does that help you when you want to go somewhere else? You're tied to that location now. And what if the investment isn't good? What if it doesn't turn out the way you want? Can you handle the home equity line of credit if this rental fails? That's a huge risk to take in the beginning. Way later on, sure. As long as it's not a big, recognizable, large percentage of your portfolio, could be a valid strategy. But there's a ton to learn if you're going to invest in the, if you say it Caribbean, it's very wrong. Caribbean is wrong too. Uh, Not a fan of the HELOC to do it for me because I didn't have spiky income and I didn't have the equity. Can you pay it off before the rate adjusts? And have you factored the HELOC's debt into it? Michael, howdy. Some ticker holding strong, which PE dropped from 39 to 18. That revs in earnings growing and getting higher with more drugs getting approved and upgrades to $32 with a 43% dividend each quarter. Nice. If I owned one stock, I'd still have to work. Canva, you recognize that. Yep, that might be where a thumbnail came from. Imagine that. Dung Tai is a Thatch alumni. I think he has good things to say. Not sure of his course prices. Nice. Rob, who do I call to verify employment for military access? I might have covered that, and then my chat must have moved. I don't think I covered that one very well. So, not something I've had to deal with, something I would have to look up. Hyder, do I need to tell Dion yellowtail have nothing to do with Asian girls? No. Yellowtail. Is it a deer or is it a fish? I have no idea. I grew up hunting, literally inherited a Remington bolt action 12 gauge, hunted rabbit and for bounties, bobcats and coyotes. Uh, and then I got older and I realized here's the thing, Ryan and Rob, they sell food in restaurants. Nice. Wealth building, Chester. I confessed my deepest fear to the bartender last night. He topped off my drink and said, "Oh, that's cute. I've been divorced 3 times and my dog ghosted me." Nice. I think I missed that one. There you go. Bill, live. Yes, it is live. We are live. Good. Thank you. Stupid internet on my side. It's like a $3,000 Mac. It should freaking work. Uh, Scooby 2. Howdy. I have one triplex. I am house hacking. Congratulations. I want to buy a second to house hack, but it will take me 1 year to save the down payment. I've considered using a HELOC to get the second property sooner. My current property is valued at 410 and I have 160, 39% equity. Which route would you take in my position? So I will not use a hypothetical and I'll not cover what I already covered with the previous question. I will cover my exact timeline. Saved for 2 years to buy a duplex. Saved for 2 years to buy a duplex. And then the cash flow and the increased savings from having a house hack allowed me to buy the next one in a year and a half. So in 5.5 years, I bought 3 properties. You can grow a larger portfolio. Michael Zuber, Millennial Mike, Lumberjack Landlord have all recycled capital, home equity line of credit, cash out refinance, sell for 1031. They've done all of those things. They have more properties than I do. Is your goal bragging rights for unit count? Or is it the most amount of cash flow from the least amount of units? I get over $1,000 a month from each rental, right? 17 rentals. Cash flow. Now I'll break down the numbers. The cash flow coming in is a little over 35,000 a month from 17. Mortgages going out is about 9,000 a month. I set aside about 5,150, which is a joke that cops get, uh, aside for repairs, maintenance, and vacancy, leaving me about $21,000 a month to live on. Uh, I spend about five, and that's trying. I force myself to spend at least $2,000 a month eating out. I have what's called a reverse budget because I'm trying not to live frugally in retirement. Hard habits to break. So that's the cash flow from 8 properties because I haven't done a HELOC. Now, if I had taken out equity, if I'd done a cash out refinance, I'd probably have 12 to 15 properties and I'd probably have 30 or so rental units and half the cash flow. Twice the work, half the cash flow. I don't want a lot of units. That's why I'm not touching equity. And it is a 10-year journey. It's not going to happen super quick. It can. You can be Marcus Share, the financial firefighter. You can go, I'm going to empty out my retirement accounts and buy 14 properties in 2 years. Mark should do, if he makes it to the video here, because I haven't seen him yet tonight, a cash flow update of what did that look like for 2 years when you were having evictions and rehabs going on? And what does it look like now? Probably 4 years in. So it's not that it's bad. It's different strategies. There is no way that anybody can look at Michael Zuber's portfolio or the Lumberjack Landlord's portfolio or Millennial Mike's portfolio and say they're not successful. Period. Financial freedom is happening from owning rentals. I just don't want that many. I'm not even sure I want the 18. So the money's piling up, right? Like I said, there's 21,000 in cash flow. I live on around 5. Sometimes I'll take a cruise or take a trip. And actually, when I go to Thailand for 2 months, I'm probably going to spend less than what I would spend here. So the money piles up, and eventually I'll take 100 or $200,000 and I'll put a down payment on a thing. And a year or two later, I'll buy another one. So I'm going to continue to buy. But I, at some point, like when I go to get when I'm done my exit strategy, I'm going to sell 1 or 2 properties and pay off all of the debt because there won't be much remaining. Like I've borrowed $1.8 million. There's probably 1.5 remaining. Now I need to borrow more to I want a higher debt to equity position. But then I can seller finance the whole portfolio to somebody, not have any tenants, toilets, or termites, still have 20 or $30,000 a month in cash flow, and somebody making profit on the whole portfolio. That's 15 or 20 years from now. Um, One of the reasons Millennial Mike is my friend is he's 20 years younger than me. So when I'm 70, he'll be 50. We might time that. Unless we marry each other for the tax benefits, which neither of any of the women in our life laugh at when we say it. But Scooby, thank you for the thing. You go, I'd like my portfolio similar to yours. Probably should have got that far. Less units with more cash flow so I can manage it myself. So I'm guessing I know your answer, but I just want to get an idea for how you'd think about it. And it's exactly how I would think about it. Thank you. Too much fun to hunt and fish for my own sustenance. It is. I hunt and fish more than anybody I know. but it's usually a 15-year-old Korean kid playing the game that I'm murdering him in online. Or he kills me because he's got no life and is just better than me. Uh, do a lot of hunting and fishing, but it's in VR. A lot of Beat Saber. It's good for you. Uh, no bad mojo. Howdy. Good to see you. Is there a specific day and time for the course calls when you buy the 447 course? So yes, every other month we generally do it. Usually Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Pacific, right after the live stream. This week, it's a weird one since Millennial Mike is a sergeant in law enforcement and on the SWAT team. He has an erratic schedule, and he has a kid and a new lady in his life. So he's a little busy. This one week, the call will just be at a random time that I can make work with Mike's schedule. But it's usually Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Pacific, right after the live. And I want to say 80% of them get uploaded to the course. 20% of them are the gray area sketchy stuff where we talk about stuff I don't want people on YouTube to know we talk about. Nothing illegal or unethical, but a gray area where I'm not going to get the people attacked just for asking a question. Scooby 2, thank you. I genuinely appreciate you. I DoorDash every minute. I'm not working. Nice. It's a good side hustle. I like it. And most of that time I'm listening to your videos. They're a big part of what keeps me going. There's a ton of channels I watch for the same reason. That immersion in keeping the language of money, the motivation, the focus there. Uh, One of the things is reaching financial freedom, making work optional, and walking away from a job that I love for the time freedom. My worst case scenario, if everything blew up in my face, is I have to go back to work and live like most people do. Like that's the worst case scenario. No, worst case scenario is I start dating somebody. Don't do that. Bill, 5150 has had a joke. Well, so uh and it's more LA, but other cops picked it up everywhere. It's the code for I'm talking to a crazy person. Most police departments went to plain text, plain English, right? In the town I was at. Uh, Code 4, everything's great. Code 6, I'm talking to a person with a gun. Like, you want to know your codes. But 5150 is that person went crazy. So you'll see cops with like 5154 and then the initials of their girlfriend or something like that. So I set aside about 15%, 5150, because investing is crazy. I believe Dion shoots for 2 course calls a month. So 2 membership calls a month, one every week when there's course calls. And then my brother, who, I have video proof that you were dragged away by a group of girls on 6th Street in Pattaya. You weren't recording. So nothing ever weird has happened to me in Thailand, ever. Thanks, David. I appreciate it. Looks like we're hitting the end of the questions. Nope, Desiree. Howdy. Doesn't it irritate you when somebody reads that and says Desiree? That would kill me. I've been in court a couple of times when the judge calls me Dion. Are all your mortgages 30-year mortgages? Yes. I wish they were 1,000-year mortgages. What I do not want is paid off properties. I want levered appreciation, levered depreciation, asset protection that comes from it. The reason I'm financially free is because of debt, not because of the equity that I have. It'd be fine with to me if my equity was zero. I wouldn't notice it. I'd probably be stressed because I couldn't handle something bad if I had to sell. But my plan is not to sell. I live on cash flow. That's not equity. David threw me off. Sorry, Desiree. Yeah, 30-year fixed rate. I looked at the 40-year fixed rate, but the buy down the rate and to get the 40-year cost with the mortgage company I was looking at were too much. So I stayed with 30-year. The refinances I did were 30-year. Again, I don't want paid off properties. I love good debt. Debt sets us free. The right kind. But yeah, no bad mojo. I think you started that earlier. I get the membership versus the course benefits. Yeah, membership is twice a month. I move it around because some people have different schedules, and all of the membership videos are there forever. Those are on YouTube, recorded. Members get to watch the past ones. The course ones were a little more selective. David's comment should generate some more questions. No Bad Mojo, what is your martial arts background experience? What did you teach? David was actually there in what freaking year was it? 1984, because that's how old I am. When I got to spar Chuck Norris, and he tossed me around like a rag doll because I was 14. Uh, Took state, BTKO, Black Tiger Karate Organization, California. I have three belts. So Duke's Ninjutsu, Okinawa Te, and Tai Chi Chuan, each one for a different reason. The Tai Chi started through PTSD training with the VA on, hey, you got some issues. Here's an art that might help you with that. What I really don't like, and David, you're going to hate me for this. Glad you're in the chat. I can come back at you. My brother has studied, oh, what was it? What did you take? But anyway, I got into martial arts because both of my brothers at the time, Dale was 5 years older than me. David was 6 or 7, and Dale was 5. I was 10. He was 15. He used to beat me up. I get bite marks. Like so, my parents put me in martial arts, and I stayed with it. I taught for a while. Uh, ended up stopping that because of insurance in California and a bunch of other rules and regulations. But my problem with martial arts, and this is not a dig against anybody, martial arts serves a purpose, like physical fitness, discipline, mental peace that can come from Tai Chi, like all these different things. But then I got into defensive tactics, and I taught defensive tactics for law enforcement agencies. I do workouts with law enforcement agencies for defensive tactics, and I realized that every martial art that I was encountered with, the if it's based on a point system, if it's based on speed, if it's not based on submission, it's not combat. When I got into defensive tactics, I learned, and I would never say this because I might have to defend this in court someday, never fight a cop. Nope. They don't hit you for points. Frank Dukes, I didn't study with him. Same plan. Was actually in the Canyon Country in California where his studio was. So I didn't interact with him. I'm not that old, but it's the same teaching. Put up your Dukes, right, man? No, Ryan, not that. Uh, yeah, there you go. David is my hero. I'm gonna put David on this channel. Where are you right now? You were just in Vegas. Are you back in California? I don't think David does Zoom, so we're not gonna do that. But the next time we're together, it's on. I think we're gonna end the video there because David's just picking on me now, and he's still bigger than me. Nice. Hajime. Gumite. Uh, nice. Hope you all have a week full of amazing. I have a couple of videos coming up this week. I did one with Zuber this morning that I will be releasing Thursday on how to become a millionaire on a low income. I think there's anything else going on this week. The course call will be with Millennial Mike. I will put a comment in the course once I confirm with Mike what time that's going to be. You guys have a week full of amazing, except for David. Not you. Ciao.